All right. So let's understand clearly what exactly, whenever you are working in any project or whenever you are preparing for an interview. So what are the things you're supposed to know, how your preparation strategy is supposed to be, depending on whatever your current situation is, right? Now let's look into it. First thing, whenever we talk about interview preparations, we should be compatible with whatever the interview that you are preparing. So for that interview, there are certain expectations from each and every candidate, right? So now what expectations will have from the panel for a candidate, right? So first thing, whatever the resume that you prepared should be good enough for you to uh, at least to attend the panel, right? For you to shortlist from a basic screening level until the panel, your resume is supposed to be proper. How you can make your resume proper? That is one of the important things that you need to look into it. Randomly, you take one of your friend resume and change the names and few details, that may not help. How good that it may be. But you need to tailor your resume always. Okay. So resume preparation is one of the most important thing that you need to look into it. Resume preparation is supposed to be very good. Very good in the sense, what are the parameters that you need to look into it? Prepare your resume, which has to be, first thing, appearance also matters. It has to be professional. Of course, all of us know that it has to be professional. Now, the next thing, the relevant points, what you are mentioning. So what is the common expectation nowadays in any interview or any project that they are hiring for is a candidate with good experience overall into SAP projects and also other things, whatever the experience that they have it, they wanted to see what experience that you can and how many implementation projects that you have worked with. Okay. How many implementation projects that you work. Why it is matters for them? Number of implementation projects will tell them how many you handled, how better you can handle their upcoming project. If at all there is a new implementation project that you wanted to handle, how better you can do it. In this implementation, again, there are multiple things that we need to understand. One is like all of us know Greenfield. We might have heard this a Greenfield implementation. What is Greenfield project? The one you are starting from the scratch. We can talk about these projects later in our trainings, or we might have already covered in our trainings. What do you mean by Greenfield project? We should be comfortable with to handle Greenfield project. Where it starts, what and all responsibilities are being handled by consultant. Then the next thing, so you also need to know brownfield. What is brownfield? So we know that SAP is going to stop the support for ACC by 2027, and extension has been given with a premium support. What is premium support? Now, generally the support will end by 27. People who just still wanted to be there on ACC for some more time until they transition to the new ERP. Can be S/4HANA or it can be non-SAP. For them, SAP has given a premium support until 2030 maximum. They can pay extra maintenance charges and they can stay on ACC to get that support from SAP. Beyond 2030, SAP also don't want to give this support. Why? Generally, we know that currently whatever the technology that they are using in S/4HANA, right, which is already the latest one, which comes with a lot of advanced features. Who want to miss that, right? Who don't want to use it? Now let's you compare that. Now, if there is an option for you to use, now you are a person who is running a business, you have a huge customer base. Parallelly, you have your competitors as well. Let's take myself. I'm a trainer who is running a training institute, and I have parallelly competitors also in the market. I'm not the only person who is providing the SAP trainings, right? There are many people who are providing it. So whenever there is this kind of a tight competition in the market, what I supposed to do? I always has to be up to date. How I can be up to date? I have to use the latest technologies, latest trends, what is happening. If not, my competitors will take over me and I might be in the lost in the list, which I don't want to be. This is what a general expectation for all the companies as well. A company who is selling some products, they have to be innovative. They have to come up with a new ideas and impress their customers. For that, now any company who is using the old technologies, old systems, how do you think they can compete with competitors? It is highly difficult, right? Now think about it. Now I'm not using all the latest tools uh, on the social media platforms to share my knowledge or to reach my customers. What will happen? I may not be able to penetrate into the market as like what my competitors are doing, right? I'll have a very small share and slowly that will diminish. Maybe after 5 years or 10 years, if I don't upgrade, I need to look for a different industry. I cannot sustain in this industry, right? So I cannot continue in the same pattern. The same thing happens to the companies as well. They have to upgrade. So you cannot stay in the same old technologies. You cannot stay on ECC system, which cannot support you longer. Now, with all that advancements coming up, SAP is strongly recommending companies to upgrade to S/4HANA. Now, if you look into it, how many companies are using ECC versus S4? Now, this is what something that we need to understand. So there are around, do you guys know how many companies are using SAP? Any guesses? How many companies are currently using SAP across the globe? Any guesses? Any number?
4 lakhs plus.
4 lakh plus, yes. Approx 4,25,000 is what we can expect it. Okay, total 4,25,000 companies minimum. This number will keep growing every year. Every day this number will go up, right? Whenever there is a number going up, what does that mean? What does that indicate? This gives us more opportunities for consultants. Majority, 99% of these projects will require FI consultant. Maybe very few projects, there may not be FI consultant requirement. Okay. So now what you need to look into it, you need to see what exactly the requirement across the globe, right? When there is a huge requirement for this kind of thing, obviously, what technology? Is it still ECC or S/4HANA? That's what we need to see. ECC requirement now, if you ask me, it's a very less. The people only with ECC knowledge, they can sustain very less. See, now still 60% plus companies are still using ECC. S4, approx 40%. This is approximate percentages. So if you look into this so far, what do you mean by these percentages? Doesn't mean that 60% still there is a demand. Still there is an opportunity for us to migrate from ECC to S4. This many companies, if you consider 4,25,000 multiplied by 60% of it, which 3 lakh plus companies still on ECC. By 2030, what they need to do? All of them has to be on S/4HANA or different ERP system. Now, what is the opportunity for us as a consultant? We have it. So we have a huge opportunity to tap this market of 60% of ECC systems to convert into S/4HANA. Majority, that will be brownfield. Out of this 60%, let's say, let me calculate approximately 0.6, which is a 255,000 companies. Okay, for example, the companies will keep growing. The new companies, whatever it is getting added to this, they may directly implement S/4HANA. No, not ECC. Now, let's say 255,000 companies who are using ECC. Currently, whoever is using ECC has to migrate to S/4HANA. Out of this, there could be some greenfields and some brownfields. How many will be greenfield? How many will be brownfield? That depends. Companies, current organization structure, complexity matters. Now we need to understand how many companies are willing to completely transform their current processes into a new style. There are some companies who are not comfortable to change any of their current process. We just need lift and shift. What is lift and shift? As it is, whatever I have it, please put it, you copy here and paste it there. I'm okay with that. I don't want to change anything, right? But that will not work for all the processes. Though the business is very much strict on changing of their process, still they have to change certain processes. That we need to look into it. What are the things that they need to change it, all that stuff. As a consultant, we need to provide assessment for all these companies, 255,000 companies minimum. If at all they wanted to migrate from ECC to S/4HANA into Greenfield, what are the things required? That we need to provide an assessment. That we will talk about it little later. Now you need to understand the opportunity here. Whenever you are talking about projects, there are a greenfield projects, there are a brownfield projects, and also support projects that you know, right? So your resume should have at least these three, minimum these three things. You need to highlight these three projects whenever you are working, whenever you prepare your resume and appearing for interview. Ensure your resume contains at least these three projects. Whether you are a fresher, whether you are 10 years experience, 20 years experience, if your resume contains these three projects with a number of projects, if you say 2 greenfield, 2 brownfield, and 2 support projects, something like that, obviously your profile will have a lot of weightage. If you say that your resume is completely missing responsibilities of these 3 projects, the chances of getting your resume to the next levels is very low. Okay. Your resume preparation, whenever you look into it, it has to reflect these projects. That's the first thing that you need to understand. Okay. So clearly you explain the responsibilities there. You don't need to explain very minute things like whenever you talk about a greenfield implementation, right? What we do in a greenfield, you might be doing the configurations. Configurations obviously is a common thing that we do it. Don't always consider only the configuration. Configuration is a part of consultant life, but that is not the only thing that we do it. Beyond configuration, there are many things that we handle it. That is what we need to realize it. So that we need to articulate in our resume also. Beyond configuration, what else you handle? What are you good at? That you need to highlight in your resume. If you are not highlighting that, what happens? People cannot understand your level of experience, but you are not directly showing what you are good at. Here is where you need to be very much clear about what and all areas you are strong as well. That we will call it as strong areas. There should be some strong areas that you need to be articulate as well. Okay. So make sure your resume, whatever you are preparing, have as much as possible the responsibilities in each project. In an implementation project, what kind of implementation project that you are working with, whether it is a greenfield implementation or a brownfield implementation, then you should have a clearly the responsibilities of it. Then also in a support project, you need to have what kind of responsibilities that you are handling it, right? So that responsibilities you have to explain. The more responsibilities that you add it will give you more advantage. The lesser you update, stating that, let's say, I involved only in a implementation, in the sense, in this projects, I involved from the configuration. Prior to that, what happened, I'm not aware. And after that, I am not aware. If you say that, projects cannot work that way, right? They cannot hire one more consultant to handle what you don't know. So they would expect you to handle that. Though you have not worked, they understand that's okay. If you have not worked, with your overall level of experience, can you manage it? Can you manage it? Manage in the sense, you find support, whatever the support that you need, you figure it out. You need online support, online in the sense, you refer to SAP help portals or any LLMs that is available. Use any LLM, use any support, but ensure you give that delivery what you're supposed to give it. Okay, you cannot say at the end, I don't know. That is what they would expect. Are you a person who can handle or who can take that ownership and handle completely? That is what they wanted to hear from you, or in your resume also. Once you prepare your resume, ensure you can highlight them in your resume. That is most important thing that you need to see. Ensure there is another thing which I'm going to tell you in your resume, what and all things supposed to be there. So there should be some important topics that you need to mention. Okay. So these important topics, you need to be very much aware. What and all topics you are mentioning on your resume also matters. Depending on that, you are going to get next calls as well. So if you don't have this kind of overall topics mentioned on our resume, people cannot relate or cannot feel like this candidate is a right candidate for my project. That impression that we have to give it. What are the topics you think that we need to talk about it? I'll talk about these topics in a while. You need to ensure there are some important topics you have to explain related to that topics. What were your responsibilities in that previous projects, right? What and all you handled that you need to highlight. So where you need to upskill yourself when you are learning, when you are practicing, wherever you are learning, right? Whether with us or somewhere else, doesn't matter. Ensure all those important interview topics, you are getting the deep knowledge about it. At least 5 years, 6 years, whatever the number of years that you are expressing, that number of years experience that should reflect in your knowledge also. If you say that you worked for your overall experience is a 15 years and you worked in a SAP projects for last 6 to 7 years, and you say that you don't know what is FST, nobody can trust that you worked at least in a single project. At least for 6 months also you worked, nobody can understand that. If you work for at least 1 year, you might have touched what is FST, what is cutover activities, what is your support activities, what is your month end, what is year end, all these things will be covered, right? You should be aware about all these kind of things. Well, I'll list down all the important topics as well, which you need to have depending on number of years, you need to pick some topics. Not really necessary to have all the topics that I'm going to list it down later on your resume. But depending on your number of years of experience, you can customize them. Okay. So then you need to, once you prepare your resume with all these important topics, irrespective of your current level of preparation, I would tell you, go ahead and apply for interviews. Okay. Apply for interviews and appear some interviews. Okay. When you appear interviews, what happens? Consider these are like your testing your knowledge only. Okay. Testing purpose only. Don't hesitate to attend. There are still a lot of things to prepare. I don't know whether I can crack it or not. Cracking interview doesn't matter. Don't even think about it, whether you can crack it or cannot crack it. That's not at all a challenge. Just give yourself that you wanted to attend. So you wanted to get benefit. Why you need to attend is, if you go with the confidence that let me answer whatever I know, you will understand what kind of questions has been asked. Then based on that, you are going to prepare the next. What are the gaps that you have it? What are the things that you wanted to upskill yourself that will help you? Okay. So SG, can you please stop annotating? Right. Now, what we need to do is, once you prepare your resume, you have to start giving interviews. That will give you some confidence. Maybe first 2 or 3 interviews you will do worst. That's okay. You don't even get next level screening call, right? You might feel yourself, I did very bad. That's okay. At least you will get to know other side of it. What are the expectations from the panel? Where am I standing currently? What are the gaps that I still need to fill it? That you will obviously will understand, right? That is what I want you to experience it. That's the first few interviews. Then that is what it gives you some idea. I'm lacking in some areas. Then you go ahead and book some mock interview sessions with your trainers or your mentors or your friends, whoever can help you. Find your sources from where you can attend some mock interviews. Attend a mock interview and get a feedback from mock interviews on the areas what exactly you did well, what are the areas you are not able to do well. That you need to have a right person. You cannot go to a random person and ask them to take a mock interview and give a feedback, right? The person should be sound enough to judge and give you the right feedback, which should help you in your journey. In the sense, for the next interview, that feedback should help you. That is what you need to ensure. That's the feedback that you need to get it from a mock interviews. Okay. Then you will understand after this what you are missing. So far, you have only knowledge about configurations. Beyond configuration, you don't have it. What happens before this configuration starts. What is this configuration phase? We call it as realization, right? In any project that you are working, if at all implementation project, you involved in realization phase. Realization is nothing but the configuration. What else we do before realization? What exactly happens? What are the responsibilities of a consultant? How you can understand that you need to see. What and all we do it, that we need to understand. I would say go beyond your configs. Okay, go beyond configs and explore the information what exactly people will be doing it before I start the configuration. There is a lot of documentation preparation happens. Even before that, there is a lot of business discussion happens, which you call it as a business workshops. During the workshops, you will understand the business requirement, you document them, and you convert them into technical and solution designs. You need to prepare that solution designs. All that you need to start understanding slowly. So majority people think that they learn the configuration, they attend the trainings, they learn only the configuration, how to do, how to create a company code, how to post accounts payable, how to run APP, how to run Dunning, how to prepare your FISD integrations, and how to configure asset accounting, how to run your balance sheet reconciliations or bank reconciliations, cash journals, all these things we might go about it. But even before and after, what happens, we should be aware about it. If you are not aware about it, then it will be difficult for you to understand what exactly you need to do it, right? So that is something that you want to have your information ready before you go for interviews. That is what you need to focus. Once you understand mock interview, that trainer is supposed to give you all this feedback, what is required for you to succeed in the next interview. That information you need to gather here and be familiar with. It is impossible for everyone to know everything, but at least the major information that you should be aware. So from there on, you start preparing one by one. Keep adding the new topics into your portfolio, into your resume, so that your profile looks very good. You need to make your profile attractive day by day. Once you prepare resume, don't stop with that. The same resume, don't keep applying for next 1 or 2 months. Keep adding one or the other new things as and when you learn it. How you can learn it? That's what you need to spend additional time and get all these things, right? So yeah, go beyond your configurations, which is going to help you. Then comes your strong areas here. That is what I was talking earlier in interview topics. Interview topics can contain maybe, let's say, 100 plus topics. Okay. But in your strong areas, at least there should be 15 to 20, at least 15 to 20 areas. You need to make it your strong areas out of that. Okay. SAP has thousands of topics total. Okay. So, but you no need to experience, you no need to become expert in all 1,000+ areas. All you need to understand at least 15 to 20 topics more comfortable, and few more topics you can at least talk about it, few things. Now that is where the next step comes into picture. Now whenever you talk about it, now you need to know your what do you say, whenever you talk about any particular topic, what you have done in that particular thing, if at all you worked. If not worked, what is your current knowledge about that topic that you need to highlight. In interview, they will try to test your knowledge where you are currently standing. Just like before I began this session, I asked all of you to share your experience and see what is your current challenges, where you are standing, and what you wanted to know. From there, I'll also get some idea where you are standing, what you're supposed to know, right? Similarly, what you need to know. So here, you need to explain about those topics, whatever you mentioned on your resume. You prepared your resume with all these strong areas, for example. Whatever you are mentioning, these strong areas, how do you choose these strong areas? It is not only that what you prepared. There are some 10 topics which you have not prepared, but still that also requires you to add on your resume. How you are going to add when you don't know. That is something that we need to understand and handle it. If there are some important things all the panels are expecting as per the current trend, and your resume do not have that, there is no point. You don't know, but you have not mentioned, that is different story. But companies are expecting, but we don't have that skill. Then what is the point, right? Everybody need certain important things. That we will talk about in important topics when we talk about in interview topics. Okay, there are many topics. We'll list it down all the important topics. From that, you have to pick few areas as your strong areas. Obviously, you need to spend time to make sure you become at least confident in those areas. You know what is the configuration required, what are the business scenarios that you can take as an example and explain. Majority of the interviews are like a open scenario based interviews. What they will do is, to understand your current knowledge, first they will ask you certain topic to explain. When you are struggling to explain the topic what they're asking, they might ask you, can you explain with any scenario that you have faced? That is where the open question starts with. They are giving you an option openly. Can you explain any one scenario that you faced or you have handled in your previous project, right? Now, let's say the very common thing, rise of objects. All of you know rise of objects, right? So in the rise of objects, they might ask you, can you tell me any one customized report, right, that you have handled? Did you handle any customized report? So you simply might say yes. Stating yes may not help them. That is not an end of that particular question. That just the beginning. When you say yes, then they would wanted to know what exactly you handled there, right? If you say yes, then you need to explain the scenario. Explain that scenario. What was the scenario? What exactly the FI consultant responsibilities? Okay, that is what we need to be articulating. As a FI consultant, what were your responsibilities in that project or the report preparation? Customize the report. What kind of report you prepared? What logic you have written? So how did you manage? How did you communicate that to a BAPR? How you work with a BAPR? What is the logic you have written? So what is the thing that you worked with a BAPR? All these things matters. Okay. So they would expect you to answer or share some points related to each and everything in this line. Okay. If you say yes and you are not able to explain a single scenario, obviously that will tell them you never worked on any customizer reports. Okay. So that's something you need to be prepared in advance. Prepare some customizer reports, some customized enhancements, any one enhancement, couple of enhancement, couple of reports, couple of smart forms, all those things we should be comfortable with. It's not that only one thing that you are understanding and go to the internet. That is what you need to be aware about it. Then you will be able to do this one. Okay. So now let's look into it. What exactly we are preparing. Whenever you are preparing, you should have this idea. What exactly those things that you are preparing, right? So now whenever you are preparing, you need to have this clear idea of how many objects that you are comfortable with, that you can talk very easily without any confusion. So in your training, wherever you are taking a training, ensure you get some idea about what is rise of objects, what are the objects that you can talk about it. Look into some FSTs, okay? Take some sample functional specs and try to understand the logic, how it has been given. And ask your trainer or a peers to provide some scenario for you to practice as well, where you can prepare that FSD. Take a template of the FSTs. You guys might have got a templates right in your trainings. Take that respective template or use one of the templates. Nowadays, it is easy for you to generate the templates using LLMs. You don't need to be innovative or you don't need to depend on anybody. You go to LLM and ask a right prompt that will give you the standard template, what has been used by across the industries. Okay, so that you can easily get it. So get that templates and prepare that and get that reviewed from your trainers so that they can help you whether you are doing the right thing or not. That itself will give you the first-hand experience that you worked in one of the project, right? That is where you can start adding more skills on your profile, something like this. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you to understand what you're supposed to do. Okay. These are the minimum things that you need to look into it whenever you see your profile, right? So on your profile, you should have this kind of things whenever you are preparing your resume. Then most importantly, you also need to see what are the things, how you will be handling in your support projects. Whenever it comes to support projects, there are different types of projects that we are talking about it. So whenever it is a support project, there are many things that we handle as it, right? So in the support projects, how exactly you will be working, what and all things, what are the other terminologies that you should be aware, the basic terminologies that we should be comfortable with. So you should be aware about the basic terminologies used in a project like incident, change request, the priority one, priority two, all right, and the testing, unit testing, functional specification, business requirement document, UAT. There is a lot of terminologies. All those terminologies has to be very much familiar to you without any confusion. You should not get confused with uh, whether the regression and integration both are same, something like that, right? So you should not get confused whether whatever the terminologies that you are using it, get very much familiar with all the terminologies. Nobody is going to guide you once you join in a project. This is how you need to do, this is how you need to do. KT is something that you cannot expect much in IT projects, particularly in SAP also. So you don't expect one more consultant along with you as a senior consultant who can guide you, right? They would expect you to come with basic knowledge, and when somebody give you some clue, you should be in a position to take it further. That is what people would expect. We need to experiment a lot, explore a lot, only then you will understand it. That is very much important for us to do it. Okay. Now, whenever you see this, the particularly the brownfield conversion, right? I'll explain you the greenfield implementation, something that we start from the scratch. But when it comes to your uh, let's say brownfields, what are the things involves in a brownfield project? That's something that we need to understand. Brownfield project involves, so generally it starts with your ECC assessment. What is ECC assessment? So where you need to start preparing assessment for the current system, where current business currently, what are the processes that they're currently using it, that we need to take an inventory of all of that and assess and provide a report to the client. That's the first thing that we need to do it as a part of your brownfield conversion. Brownfield conversion, which means you are converting from ECC to S4HANA. What do you mean by converting this? You are not buying S4HANA license separately. On top of ECC, whatever the ECC structure that you have it, you are going to add new features, which means you are going to activate new things like new general ledger. Currently, whether they are using new general ledger or not, that you need to assess in a current ECC system. If they are not using new general ledger, what is new general ledger? That we should be aware about it as a consultant. You should not get confused there. So while you are providing this assessment report to the client, we should have a clarity. What do you mean by new general ledger and what do you mean by classic general ledger? What are the differences between both? What are the challenges whenever they migrate from classic to new GF, right? Can they directly convert or not convert? All these things we should be aware about it. How you will understand? With your thorough exploration of the information or with a proper training at least, right? You need to know differences between both of them. Not just theoretically, you need to know structural changes, what happens in a backend, right? All that we need to be aware about it. And to perform this current ECC, so there is something called, so let me say this way. So now what you need to understand while performing this ECC, there is something called readiness check. So this is a tool provided by SAP to know the current process, along with that whether the same process can we implement in S4HANA or not, or in the upgraded version, can I do it or not? Is there any challenges? If I migrate this, will this break? Or is this process still available or not? For example, now I wanted to convert all my vendors and customers. Okay. So whenever I want to convert from my vendors and customers into S4HANA, in S4HANA, we know that there is a something called business partner concept that was not there in ECC. Now we need to ensure all the business partner roles has been created in ECC. Only then you can convert all this data into S4HANA. Something like that, that we need to assess the current system, how many customers they have, how many vendors they have it. So do they have any business partner roles already created or not? If not created, you need to ensure. So you have them created first and then you migrate into S4HANA. Otherwise, it is not easy for you to migrate into S/4HANA. That is something that we need to see. What is their current status? How many vendors and customers are really needed in S/4HANA system? We cannot dump all the data as it is once again, right? So they might have few millions of records in current ECP system. Doesn't mean that they need all the information, right? So they might need 80% of the data or 70% of the data from ECC. That also you need to validate from the business users, run different workshops and clarify the data, or what data they need into S/4HANA. That is our responsibility. In readiness check, it will also provide you the most importantly, something called simplification items. Okay. Simplification items. I don't know how many of you handled this. Any of you handled simplification items? Anybody remediated any SI items in your projects for anything? Have you guys looked into SI items? I just wanted to hear some of you if you guys have handled any SI items. Anyone? No one? No problem. Let's see, simplification item is something whenever you are working in any ECC to S/4HANA projects or within S/4HANA projects also, it is a very common terminology that you will hear. Simplification items in the sense, whenever you are migrating from XY system, ECC to S/4HANA, there are certain things which will break, which will not work as expected. So this simplification items, we need to remediate, which means which we need to fix before you migrate. Okay. What is the fix you need to provide that we need to understand? If possible, I'll try to bring some simplification items from here. Let me see if I can bring that. So if you guys have SAP S user ID, which will be easy for you to get into simplification items, and then you can look into. If you don't have your S user ID, then it is difficult for you to find out all the information related to simplification items. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll try to bring some information which can be helpful for you to see how exactly simplification items looks like, how you can run that SI checks also. Okay. So maybe currently I don't have the one ECC system. Okay. Let me check that. Give me a second. I'll try to check the simplification items in one of the systems that I have access to, so that we can also see practically how it looks like. So just a second, I'm just getting into the system as well, so that we can see if something is available. Simplification items, let me share more information. Whenever you run certain items, that will tell you what needs to be fixed, whether that is applicable in that version or not. All that information will be available for you to check that one. Okay. So now let's say there is something called SDFRC start check, which will tell you. So let me check. Okay. Unfortunately, I'm getting a ABAP dump error, but I can show you that. So you can also give a try depending on system, which system that you guys are using it, so that you can see all of that. Okay. So let's say, let me. Where is this? I think I'm missing. Sorry, I'm not able to get into this. Just a second. Okay, let me share my screen. I think somebody has to go on mute, please. Okay. Now, let me show you this whenever you are looking into this, right? Let's say, here is your SAP. Whenever you are in ECC system, currently I'm in S/4HANA 2023 version. But whenever you are in ECC system, get into your SC38 transaction code. So this is the program that you need /SDF/RC start check, which will tell you what are the simplification items which are applicable for this particular version. Currently, I'm getting ABAP dump error, which is not expected. But when you run this, you will be able to see what items are relevant. There is an option where you can download all simplification items that will tell you what exactly. Just a second. Okay, where you can check all the simplification items also, what remediation is required. That simplification items will also give you what are the relevant SAP nodes which are connected to that. Okay, that simplification will tell you the nodes. Let's say, for example, I'll bring one of the node, how it looks like, so that you can also see what node number, how to read the SAP nodes as well, which the nodes will be like a huge in number generally, but all you need to know how exactly you are going to remediate these nodes. How you need to understand the nodes is important. So now let me show you this. So let's say I have logged into my S user ID. Let me show you that how it looks like. So, and there is some problem with the zoom controls where I'm not able to. Just a second. Okay, just give me a second. So let me save this document and try to close this. There is some problem with the zoom controls, which I'm not able to switch to my local. Okay, so I'm just going back to the screen sharing again. So allow me a bit. Okay, now I'm here. Whenever you run the simplification items, it will throw a big list of simplification items that are applicable in that version. Now, the next step, what you need to do? You need to compare that for your respective client, whether that is everything is applicable or not. Okay. From there on, you need, okay, I don't need to register this. I have already logged in. So let me go to, so let me open one of the SAP knowledge base. So from your support portal, you will be able to access all your SAP notes. Okay. From here, you put one of the note number, SAP note number. This SAP note will give you that complete information, what exactly you need to understand about that particular note, what it is telling you related to that simplification item. This is possible only when you have S user access ID. If you don't have S user access ID, it will give you limited access. Still, you can go ahead with a P user ID, create your P user IDs. Those who don't have S user ID, you can read about this simplification item, which will tell you about the symptom, what exactly this problem all about, and what are the remediation actions that you need to take it, the solution, which will tell you what are the things that you need to remediate. Okay, it will provide you all these things, all the list it will provide you. Based on that, you need to do a manual corrections, or there are certain things which can be corrected technically. There is something called download S note. You can download this S note. This will be like a package. You download this and you ask your basis guy to implement the note. How to implement the note? They are aware about it. They will implement this S notes in a system so that automatically all those corrections will happen. Let's say currently your business is not using new general ledger. They are on a classic GL. Now you have to activate new GL. How do you activate new GL? You don't need to go through that configuration process. There is a note for that to implement that, where you can ask your basis team to implement the respective note, something like that. Okay, where you can start doing that kind of note implementations. Okay, there are a lot of things that you need to understand whenever we talk about this kind of things, right? So that is what we need to see exactly how you are going to do that. Okay, so that is the one thing you need to be aware whenever you are working. So how you are going to work with the simplification item. Simplification item is something that you need to see, and you need to provide a remediation to that. What remediation you need to provide to that simplification item, right? So you need to understand the remediation. Remediation in the sense it's a fix that you need to provide before you migrate your system, right? In this remediations, there will be a list like pre-migration and during migration, or you can also call at migration and post-migration. All these three stages, your simplification items list will be segregated. Before you migrate, what are the simplification items you need to fix? During migration, what are the things you need to take care? Post, what are the things that you need to take care that we need to be aware of? Okay. And along with that, as a consultant, now for you to fix all this, what is the effort required? This is called a time. How much time it takes for you to fix it? We need to provide this effort estimations. Okay. So when you provide effort estimations, what happens? The project team will go for that next kind of proposal, how much to be billed for this project. Okay. And here there will be a lot of functional and technical reports that we need to prepare as a part of this overall assessment. Okay. If you look into brownfield projects, how it starts, something like this, you are going to start with. You start with their current system assessment and you run readiness checks and see the simplification items that are to be remediated and how many things to be remediated during the migration, pre-migration, post-migration, that we need to list it down very clearly with solutions. Then you provide effort estimation and you also need to provide various reports from functional and technical teams. What are the findings that you have done during this entire assessment? Then you need to present it to the management, client management as well, so that they will take a decision whether they can migrate to S/4HANA now or should they want to go to some non-SAP system. Based on this overall risk and everything, they will look into it and they will take a decision. This is how, as a consultant, that we need to start looking into and think about it. This is just a sample for you to understand how your brownfield project works. Each and everything you need to understand how you do this readiness checks. How do you look into simplification items? What are the things to be remediated? There are certain things may not require remediation. All those things that we need to look into it as well. Okay. So in upcoming sessions, I'll share more knowledge about it. So how to do that and each and everything. But for now, so I just wanted to give you the kick thought. Whenever you start interview preparation, what are the things that you need to look into it? How you need to look into it? It's not just about you say you worked on a brownfield. When you say brownfield, they would expect you to explain about at least few terminologies here. What you did, how you did, what is the process flow that you did. They are not going to give you the system and test your knowledge, but at least you should talk about it. Whatever you mentioned on resume, you can talk at least 2 to 3 minutes about it, right? That is most important. Okay. So in upcoming sessions, I'll share more knowledge about the more tips and other things. I think for those who wanted to connect and have a more information, feel free to drop your contact details. I can contact you, or you guys also can drop me a direct messages on this number, the number that you see here. Okay. So I'm happy to connect with you later once again. Once again, happy Independence Day to all my friends and see you all then in the next session. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Those who have a question, I think feel free to drop your questions and messages on this number. I can talk to you later. Hope you guys found it helpful. I'll share this video also. Those who need a video also, maybe you guys can drop me a message on this number so that I can share it. All right. Thank you once again. Have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nasima.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.